Hi guys, welcome to another amazing episode of Something Light. And as always, my name is Bobola and
my name is Seyitan.
Yes, and we're happy to be here again.
Yeah.
Yes, so we'll get right into it.
Yeah.
So if you watched our very first episode for this season, if you didn't know, this is season 3 of Something Like podcast. If you watched episode 1, you probably have an idea what today's topic will be about, what we'll be talking about. So, and if you've not watched it, go and watch it, go and catch up, and come back to this one.
Yeah.
So we have things that we want to get off our chest. Like that was
we are going to be munching.
Okay, yes.
If
you see us chewing stuff, it's just go with the flow. You can grab something to munch to as we're munching. So
and I'm sure you're probably eating something.
You don't feel
Friday night, you just put something light on your TV. Carry jollof chicken. Let's join you too now.
Just go with the vibes.
Yeah.
So we have things to get off. In fact, that was what we thought we were going to start the season with. Just talking about some things we've been seeing, like what is going on, But what happened. We went with the flow in episode 1, and now we are here to give you the hot tea and the hot takes. So
this is the first one of the season, so we're going to make it really hot and really spicy. Okay, so the first thing is, we saw on Twitter there was a time that it was making the rounds, or it's these rounds now, the news. People were talking about it all over social media that Christian musicians should not be charging for concerts, right? And there were people of the opposing view who were like, what? How do you expect us to eat? How do you expect Christian musicians, or is it gospel artists? I don't know. Let's just call them Christian musicians to feed like that. That doesn't make sense. And then people who were on the other side were like, but like, don't, if you want to do this for entertainment, that's great. But don't see you're doing it as a form of ministry. So that was another side to the conversation, and you're like,
there's a lot going on.
These ones were like, what do you mean it's not ministry? It is ministry. So people like us, we know the two type for social media. Just
on top. Because there was actually a space, right?
There was a space.
It was quite long.
And we in our own DMs were like, this is like, come on guys. So that's also what I want to talk about today, really. The first one at least. So Bobs, what do you think? First of all, which side are you on? Should Christian artists...
You already know the side I'm on.
Even though, but they don't know.
Whatever. Anyway.
Should Christian artists be charging?
So, okay. I think there's another layer to it, because we don't want to assume that everyone actually saw. You probably saw it when it happened, but there might be people watching this or listening right now that actually did not know about whatever the drama that was going on. Right. So there was an artist, a gospel artist, that wanted to have a concert, and
gospel or Christian.
I'm calling the person how like they identify.
Okay.
So, and a gospel artist wanted to have a concert, and the outrage was because of there was regular tickets, and then there was $1 million for table.
A table. $1 million naira.
So there, for this conversation, there were like so many layers, right? So many layers to it. So there was a question of, okay, number one, some people felt like it was so expensive. Why are you charging so much? And then there was the part of, why is there like segregation or disparity? Like, why are you it's a gospel
program
concert? So why are you separating people that can pay more Like, why don't you just have a uniform? Okay, this is the gate fee, or this is the price for the ticket as we were. Why is it that some people have tables? Some people like it. I think for people it looked very much like you know, when you have all this comedy shows that they say, oh, all these regular, they say, oh, 10 people to one table for, you know, you have the platinum, you have the gold, you have the different levels, and they were like, okay, that shouldn't be happening with the church stuff. And then there were people that even thought that, okay, like, it's not a gospel concert. If you're charging for it, it should be free. So there were like different layers. Now so that led to a conversation about, okay, what is ministry? Because I think that one came about from people saying, okay, it should even be free. Why are you charging? And then a lot. There are like so many layers to this conversation. And for me, my disposition has always been one and the same, even for, that's the interesting thing, like for a very, very long time, like even before I knew as much as I know now, I'd always felt like, I'd always seen gospel artists, in quotes, just the same way as I see anyone in any profession. Just that, okay, they're Christians. And so for some, I don't even know why, but I'd always seen it that way. So my stand is, no, you're not necessarily doing ministry just because you're singing and you're singing a Christian song. Like the fact that you're singing a gospel song, you're singing, like, even if like it's sound, like theologically sound, is not off, you're singing the right things, it doesn't mean that you're doing ministry. Ministry is absolute, I don't know if that's the right word, but like ministry is ministry. Like you can't dance around ministry, you can't sugarcoat it, and ministry is never something that you get paid for. So once it's something that you get paid for, something that you would charge for, like you it's like rendering a service, then it's no longer ministry. Because a deacon in church will not say, oh, I'm charging this. A pastor will not say, I'm charging this. An elder will not say, I'm charging this. Like whatever ministry you are in church, welfare, whatever it is,
ushering,
you will not say, oh, I stood for 10 hours, so
pay me so and so.
So ministry is ministry. Like going with scriptures, what we've seen from the Old Testament, from when the Levites were like the ones going about the things, the priests and all of that, you can see that it was never something that you could say, okay, this is the reward for this thing that I have done. That being said, I don't see anything wrong with a believer being a musician, with a believer being a writer, with a believer being a producer, a movie producer, like I'm like really facing like the creative, just like, you know, we are believers, we're working in different journalism, healthcare, and what have you. So I don't see any reason why I can't, and I can be blessed, I can enjoy and prefer books written by someone that is a believer, for example, because I mean, like, they won't go off a certain tangent that I might find distasteful. So I would prefer to listen, I might prefer to go to a concert of someone that I know is a believer. But, and yeah, people might be saved, because that was another angle, like, oh, people might be saved, people are going to be saved in that concert, so yeah, it's ministry, or it's, some people were even equating it to church. So for me, I had no issues with the fact that he was charging. I had no issues with the fact that he decided to do table. I mean, those are like creative ways like people make money. That is his full-time occupation. That's all he does. So it would be very wicked of me to keep him. Like, how is he supposed to feed his family? So I would not. But now I have a problem with when he now categorically says this is ministry. Because my pastor will not say 5K per table. Or do you get like you can't mesh these things up. And I feel like the problem is only that people want to say they're what they are not. Your occupation can be, oh, I'm a musician, and you're serving in your local church.
Yeah,
that is going to be without any payment. That is going to be without any reward. More like nothing more than, oh, brother, blah blah blah, or sister,
Thank
blah
you
blah
so
blah.
much for that beautiful
God bless
question.
you. That blessed me. That really touched me. It was like you were singing to me directly. That's it. So you can do your thing. Go to band. In fact, go and do O&B. Go and bless people. Let people like Christians are able to call you. Charge them. Is 10M. Per wedding, you can pay, you cannot pay. Like, that's fine. And then church, you still, you're there for practice, you are there for rehearsals, you might even be the choir master. Then that's ministry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my take.
Ooh, so many angles to this.
Yeah.
I will just say that I remember when I first saw it, I was like, where do I stand with this? You know, where there are just some things you see and you're like, I don't know. But when the person who brought it up, when the person explained some things with scripture, I was like, you know what? That's it. It's the Bible. We live by the Bible as Christians, right? And I shouldn't be arguing like my life experiences or what if with the Bible when some things are clearly written there, Now, does the Bible say, I don't know that there's anywhere that they say don't charge for ministry, but we see examples with from the apostles, the early church, how things were. We see that they first of all, when Paul was talking about fellowship, I forget the book of the Bible, and he was sort of like dragging there that people are just coming to be eating, that do you not know the reason for this fellowship? It's not for the rich to be eating and be filled up. I'm paraphrasing heavily, but that every member of this body of Christ will come together and benefit. We see that even Paul, he was a tent maker. He was also one. I think he wrote the most books in the Bible. Writing to this church in Corinth, in Ephesus, in so many places. He was working. He was doing ministry. Two separate things. In Philippians, he still had needs. Like he was mentioning the fact that he had needs, and he's not asking them to give him money.
It's not a demand.
Meet his needs.
Yeah.
No. But he now even thanked them.
I was going to say that
they met his needs.
Yeah.
Now, if we go to Luke, where Jesus sent his disciples to go preach the gospel and said, don't take anything, don't do this, don't do that, and don't demand. Like, if people welcome you, great. And then, in welcoming, the disciples, they would feed them and, just welcome them into their home and shelter them, right?
Yeah.
So, drawing from all these examples, you can see how things like ministry are supposed to be done. They're not supposed to be done with an expectation for monetary
It's
reward.
never been that.
Never. I mean, God, look at how Jesus preached the gospel, did this, did that. He did not. There was nothing much. And people will bring up the case of the alabaster box where the woman poured the oil. But what people don't understand was Jesus trying to teach them like honor. That this person is honoring Jesus, and this is how she chooses to honor him. It was not that, because if she had broken the $1 oil, it was the place it was coming from, the act behind it, which is honor, that Jesus was trying to teach them. And it was even Judas, the thieving disciple, the greedy one, who had an issue with that. You could tell that his heart was not in the right place.
Yeah.
So it's not that Jesus even said break the alabaster box, the expensive this thing, use it to honor Jesus.
Yeah.
No, don't misconstrue it. Don't do all of that. So we see how the examples in the Bible are set or were set for us, and the Bible is our template. The Bible is what we live by, what we hold true. Paul, even the church in Macedonia, as I guess broke as they were, they still were able to meet people's needs.
Yeah.
So for us as believers, if this person, minister, whoever, ministers in church, sings in church, and it blesses you, it is out of honor you will decide to say,
give.
Please,
and because we
brother,
love and
this,
we give.
yes,
Yeah.
but that this, take this, please, this, and that. That's great. But I started seeing things like, I remember when I would travel to this place and that place, and they would invite me to go and sing.
And people were citing how much they were actually putting into the music. Like, people were giving us numbers, because like we said, there was like a Twitter space, right? And people were saying, I spent so £20,000 to record and to release an album and all of that. Anyway, continue what you were saying.
It's nothing. I said a lot of things, and they gave me just pure water. I was like, I get that can be painful, especially when you are just sitting down in your own house and they just called you. But it's one of those things that, see it as God is using me to bless these people. You go there, you sing, people their lives are, are better for it. Glory to God. Is it painful? Yes. And I think there are lessons to be learned on both ends. The church you are going to minister to should not expect, like, they should, it's I guess common sense. You would expect that they are wise enough to, no matter how little, for them to give you something and say thank you so much for coming. This is what, now you on your own end as a minister, if what they can afford to give you was maybe 15k, you shouldn't be like, I traveled all the way and this and that. It's just 15,000 naira they were able to give me.
I guess you also shouldn't travel all the way. So
you cannot,
it becomes a problem. Like, you can't be doing ministry and feel entitled to, are they going to give me, or are they not going to give me? Like, you're doing ministry with the intent that you're getting nothing back.
Yeah.
And now, like he said, there's something to fix on both ends, in that as a believer, you also should be able to give.
Yes.
Like without holding back.
So
the person doing ministry is not expecting anything.
Yeah.
But as a believer, as you're receiving, ministry is not even until somebody sang or somebody prayed for you. Like, we should be able to make that habit, that practice of actually giving to people, giving to believers without holding back, such that there will not be any resentment. Now there shouldn't even be any resentment, because so like it's an issue, right? Like, and we have to be able to, as the body of Christ, we have to be able to get these things right, and be able to do church the way God wanted church to be. And you're even referring to the early church. I think even if you look at the Old Testament, like I was saying, you will see that was a practice. Like, the old part of tithing and all of that was so that there was always food, there was always things in the, what was that thing? Their temple, I guess,
where the priests were,
their storehouse for the temple, for the Levites, because the Levites were totally, absolutely given to the temple, to the work of God. That was all they were about. And everyone in their community would bring things into the storehouse. Take out of what they had, out of their harvest, bring into the storehouse, so that it's never empty. Is it God that is eating the food?
I mean.
No, it was for the Levites. And even I think there was a time they were sharing something. I can't remember what it was. They made sure was it land or something. They made sure they remembered to give a portion. I think they were allotting something. I can't remember. They were allotting something. They allotted something to the Levites. So, and we still see the same thing. Like, there was always the sharing. It was more like redistribution of wealth.
Yes.
Like, everyone would bring stuff, so nobody would feel. So even if you are doing ministry, you're not doing ministry, you're in church, you know that your needs are going to be met. Like, that should be like our practice. And there's nothing that stops you from being both a musician and a minister. Like, I feel like people conflate those two things. Like, oh, I'm a musician, and because I'm singing Christian songs, I'm using scriptures, I'm preaching to people in my songs, that means that I'm doing ministry. But if that's your source of income, that's your source of daily bread, because that was what people were asking on that space. Like, how do you expect people to feed their children? How do you expect them to pay their rent? It is their career, and that is okay. Like, nobody should begrudge you of the fact that you're using your talent. Is the way some other people, like someone that is drawing, for example, or someone that is painting stuff, making beautiful artwork, they will sell it. There's nothing wrong with packaging your talent into a very solid album, a solid single, and putting it out there. People are blessed, people are buying it, people are inviting you for concerts and paying you, or you're organizing concerts, you're charging. That's your career. That's your daily bread. Now, you can also be a minister. Like, there's nothing, just like a doctor can go to work Monday to Friday. An accountant can go to work Monday to Friday, and on Sunday they are in church doing ministry. Like, or even during the week they are busy about the ministry of reconciliation. They are like preaching to people. Like, you can do the same thing, but your career is your career, your occupation is your occupation. And there's not, because I feel like that conversation would have been simple and straight to the point, and the arguments would not have been like crazy if these people could just accept that, yes, it is my profession. It's my profession. It's my occupation. Like, yes, and this is how I decided to go about it. This is how I'm charging. Like, don't see it as church, because think about it. Churches would typically not charge for, like, every year we have the experience. I've never heard that there was a gate fee, right? So, like, they spend a lot of money to make that happen.
A lot.
But they know that, yes, it's ministry. You want everybody to come, everybody and anybody, no restriction whatsoever. That you can say is ministry, right? Like, okay. But when you have a standalone person that wants to make money for their family, saying, okay, you guys come and support me, like, come and support me. Like, there's even, when we think about the words that we use, the choice of words, we will know that it's not ministry.
It's not ministry now.
But but that, like I said, it doesn't mean that you can't also be a minister.
Exactly. The only thing is you're a music. I think of it in other professions. For example, a psychologist who is a Christian. Will you now say that if someone says they want to speak with a Christian psychologist, will you not tell them that it's ministry that they are doing?
That they should not charge money.
Exactly. Like, you cannot say that. If that person says, you cannot tell the person that psychologist can't come and tell me that they are doing ministry. It's not me. This is something like that. It's not ministry. It's not. We're just having, and also begs the question. Saying that with a musician, like, I just think of having this whole how do I put it? Like, secular view. You know, all these things. Money is secular. All these things are secular. Concerts, everything. If you now, you are singing a Christian song, a gospel, biblically, theologically sound song. Like, is it something that should be, because music is entertainment?
Yeah.
Can music be entertainment and worship at the same time? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
I think that's now it's going to this one will take us into but I would just say that music can be entertainment and music can be worship. And it's because for music I feel like it's probably a little different from some other art forms.
Okay.
And that's because of what we see in scriptures. Like, you have a lot of instances of musical instruments. You have a lot of you have psalms. You have songs of Solomon. You have where even the charge of, when you come together to fellowship, you have a word, you have a song, you have a psalm, and all of that. So, like, going with scriptures, because that's what we're sticking to, you will always be able to make an argument for music, unlike some other art forms like movies or anything else, because we can actually see that. And we've always seen Old Testament, New Testament, you see music, songs being used as an expression of worship. So sometimes what people would, so I feel like what makes the difference is the content and then the use.
So in that case, we have seen in the Bible where it was used for worship. In that case, should people now be monetizing it? You get a point? I get the argument of you can do ministry and you can do this thing. If you are going to sing a Christian song, should you then be selling it and charging and doing these things? Or can you not just sing regular secular songs, and then we know that when you come to the church on Sunday, you are going to sing?
This is, I don't think it matters. And it's because I'm going to sing from a place of inspiration. I'm going to sing from a place of content. I'm going to sing from what I have in me. So if what I have in me, what I'm inspired to sing, if I sit to write the song, it's like a love song for God. It's praising God, or it's encouraging people, then like that's what I'm thinking of. Like I would not say, oh, people should now hold back and try so hard to write a secular song when that's not what is coming into their heads. Like, I don't feel like writing a love song for my wife or for a woman. I want to actually praise God. I want to talk about how I feel about God. So I don't think people should be limited. You sing, you write from a place of inspiration. It's just like a writer too. Even you see, there was a movie I watched not so long ago, The Wait, on Netflix, and as I watched that, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like a believer was the writer or part of the writers. Like, you could just see it. Like, it was not like, oh, they said this is a Christian movie. It was just I had no idea. I just started watching it, and lo and behold, I actually even follow like maybe one of the writers or the writer or something like that, and I saw a tweet, and she spoke about, oh, she's glad that she didn't hold back, that she did this, and okay, and I know this person is a believer. So it's going to happen like that. Like, your takes on things, what's going to flow in your head is just going to go a particular direction. That's what is in your heart. So like it's however their creative juices flow. And we also have some believers that sing regular songs, secular songs, but I mean, you will still know that this person is not being the typical secular artist, because they're not using some vulgar if that works for them, fine. But there's some other people that like that's what will come to their head. And I don't think we should like restrict them and say, oh, you should never charge money for it. It's like, it's just them using their talent.
Yeah, I know. I
get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, once you're
I'm
going to
glad
say
you get
it,
it.
I get it, but I just feel like it's going to be very unfair to restrict people and box people, because you could say the same about books.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our men of God, women of God write books.
Mm-hmm.
That
it was one of the arguments.
I know,
and people were like,
so,
you know,
but
even the Bible is for sale. Blah 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 blah. Spiritual books. So why are you now?
yeah. So for me, I will never begrudge anyone charging for their craft. Never ever. Like, you are writing. For me. That's the thing. For me, when you write a book, that is business.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not like,
when you write a book and you sell it.
So when it's not like, oh, I saved up money and I printed 10,000 copies
and I give them
and I'm distributing them, and I'm saying, okay, anyone can also print. Like, I'm not gaining 1 naira, 1 cent, 1 penny. I'm only like, okay, so if you feel like there are people you want to share this with, to 1 copy, this is the cost of printing, this is it, and that's fine. But I write a book and I'm like, oh, maybe the cost of printing is $20, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell for 25 or 22. That's business. And for me, it doesn't matter even if you're a man of God, you're a woman of God, you're a minister, like, that's fine. You decided to sit down. It took a lot of creativity, a lot of hard work, sleepless nights for you to sit down and put that together.
Yeah.
Yes, the content is like inspirational, it's spiritual, and it's to edify people, and it's to whatever. You put your effort into that.
Yeah.
And if you decide that you want to make money off it, you deserve to make money off it. I don't see it as, oh yeah, this is ministry. That's how I see it. That's how I make the separation. But it will not become a problem if you say, oh, I want to charge this amount before I can climb the pulpit. I want you to come and preach in our church, ma. Okay, so how much are you going to give me? Yeah, that becomes a problem. Yeah. Or you preach to someone, you're walking on the street, you preach to someone, and you say, oh, now that you're saved. I don't think anyone does that, but okay, yeah, now that you're saved, so yeah, that will be $100. Yeah, but like, if you actually go out of your way to do so, not everyone can write.
I used to listen to not listen, but like whenever someone preaches in a bus, then like I'll listen, and next thing I'll start hearing, so please, if you can, I just like,
I said people don't do that, but maybe people actually do that.
I said,
my bad.
Please,
my bad. Yeah, so maybe people actually do that. Yeah.
So I even forget the other thing I wanted to talk about, but I think I agree with you on the, just separating ministry from
occupation or talent or skill.
Just let it be, wherever it is. I think I want to say that we have sort of had a similar conversation with movies. God, I see, in this life, just let the Bible be your anchor, because I remember when I was I used to be of the opinion that someone going into politics can be like, it could be like a form of ministry. Like, why not? Like, why? Because there was a thing of, Christians need to go into everywhere and do this. It's not compulsory.
Kingdom takeover.
Yes, all these things. Like, no, it's not compulsory. But thank God for the Bible, and just studying it and seeing the examples we're supposed to follow and live by, and all those other things. If there's a Christian politician, great, fantastic, but person should not come and say that, I'm doing ministry. Like me being the leader of this country is ministry. That does not even make sense. Like, you have to come and show me how it makes sense according to biblical standards.
Yeah.
How on earth that that is ministry. Yeah. I don't know. Do we still want to go into the second topic?
so that we don't bore you.
Yeah.
I think we saved the other one. I think this is
It was like
this is hot take.
we set out to do
there's this another one. So I guess that would come sometime later.
Maybe closer to the election.
Yeah, so that will come up. Will come up. But yeah, this has been a good conversation. Like, yeah. There were things that we spoke about today that we didn't even talk about before, even though we spoke about this before.
Yeah.
So it's been a good conversation even for us, and we hope you enjoyed it too. And what are your thoughts? We know for sure that you probably don't necessarily agree with us.
And
this is a very of course it's fine.
Is it fine? Because we have the Bible as our anchor.
No, it's fine because even though like there will always be, we have the Bible, but there will always be some areas that are like gray. Kind of like the question that you asked.
Yeah.
Like if we're saying music or songs is actually an instrument for ministry, an instrument of worship, is it okay to monetize it? I don't think you get an answer to that. So there are some things that are like gray areas. There's some things that people really, because I remember like this I think that the day that conversation was going on, it's probably the day I've dreaded the most. Because I had a lot to say. Because, and you know, there are people coming at me with like, oh, counter argument. Okay, so what should they do? Oh, someone even asked about movies, and I'm like, sorry sis, movies are for entertainment.
Yes,
they are good because we can get to enjoy content that will not have us like, oh, what did I just see? Like, oh, please spare me. And that's great, and I would definitely enjoy like people to, and I mean, it's kind of like why we have this kind of podcast to like, okay, people want to, you know, just, you know, enjoy people talking about different things, but they don't necessarily want to now hear some things that will, you know, turn their hearts towards things that they don't want to be turned to, or just hear certain things. So that's why we have this, but we will not say this is ministry. This might help people, it might encourage, it might, but nah,
it's just entertainment too.
Yeah,
people want to just entertainment.
Yes,
this is
exactly. So and that's what something like movies are for. Yeah, I just want to enjoy myself on my couch. I want to have a movie I can watch with my kids without feeling like, what's going on here? Do I have to tell them to go inside? So yeah, to people, and sometimes it might take a while for people to even come around, but you know, let's know what you think. Let's continue the conversation in our comments. You can also mention us on Twitter. You can leave a comment on Instagram, and you know, let's just know what you think. What's your take on this? You know, you've heard everything that we said. Let's know what you think. We'll also want to learn. Like we said already, the Bible is our standard, but let's know your thoughts, and you know, let's continue this.
So thank you all so much for listening and watching on YouTube. Please follow us. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Something like podcast. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at s_lightpod, and subscribe to our Apple Podcasts and Spotify at Something Light. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you.
Have a good day, good week, good night,
good everything.
Good everything. All right.
Keep shining as the light that you are.
Bye.